Welcome to Community Connections. I'm Vincent Hill. On today's program, we'll discuss school readiness and how to help your child succeed in school. We'll learn that it's never too early to begin, and parents are their kids' first teachers. But we begin with IEPs, our individualized education programs, what they are, why they are needed, and how to work with your school to ensure your child receives the learning help that they need. Alex Parker, Be More Lifestyle host, has more.
If your child is not making progress in a public school, an IEP may be what he or she needs. And if you have ever requested an IEP for your child, it can be a challenge. Dr. Sarah Edwards, child and adolescent psychiatrist at the University of Maryland Children's Hospital and associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, joins us to discuss IEPs, individual education programs. Doctor, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
What is the difference between an IEP and a 504 plan?
Great question, and it can be confusing. So an IEP stands for an individualized education program. And what that is for kids who have different disabilities. It allows us to provide specialized instruction. So an IEP then becomes an important plan that has different educational goals, and then allows the schools to go ahead and put together what sort of special education prompts are needed, different accommodations, and then they monitor the goals of that treatment in the education plan. The difference is a 504 plan is also for kids who have disabilities, but they might not need specialized instruction. So they might need accommodations, things like additional time or maybe taking some breaks, but they don't need a full educationalized special service plan.
How would parents best try to determine which would be best for their child?
We're going to work with your school, and so that can feel a little overwhelming, but when a parent has any sort of concerns, they should put that in writing and then make sure they inform the school, and the school has a certain amount of time to respond to that request. I like to think of an IEP versus a 504 with this analogy. So if you have a school, and we have ramps, and that ramp is a barrier. So a 504 plan removes barriers to get kids into the school. Versus an IEP, it's really more of a blueprint. It is something that is put into place to have that specialized program and plan. So there'll be special instruction and special education, different services, different treatments. Sometimes kids need speech therapy, and that would be part of that IEP. And so that's the difference between a 504 that is making sure they're removing any sort of barriers and putting those accommodations in place versus an IEP that has so much more making sure that you really have that specialized program and plan.
How can families make sure their child's IEP is still appropriate for the upcoming school year?
So the summer is a great time to get organized. It's not as busy during the school year, so we want to take this time to make sure that families are able to see what they already have. We always recommend that families have a binder, put together a nice binder or folder that has the current IEP plan, as well as having any progress reports or psych testing. Then that way they can take that to the school, but also give it to anybody who's part of their overall care team. So if a child has with their pediatrician or a therapist or a psychiatrist, you want to be able to take your binder with you. So that's an important part that families can do during the summer. Regarding whether or not it's current, families need to take a look at that individual education plan and see what's in it. There could be some goals that they've already met. And with those goals, then it would be important to decide, okay, if I've met them, I'll ask the school for a next meeting to reevaluate. Looking to see what services were in place. Maybe those services are no longer needed. So it's really about taking that opportunity to look and then to work with the school and see what's appropriate.
Heading back to school for kids and parents, frankly, and I'm a parent of two, we've sort of lived this, can be stressful. What are some ways parents can help their child feel prepared and confident, adding that IEP part of this?
Sure, it is such a stressful time. So it's great if we take some time, not just the night before, but a couple weeks leading up to school to get prepared. So start back for everybody, IEP or no IEP, making sure you have structures and routines so that kids start going to bed early, getting up early, and just making sure you're doing everything you need to be functioning well. So that's one of the things. The other thing that's really important is for families to talk about school in a very positive way, to highlight to a child who does have an IEP or 504, highlight the successes that they've already made. Making sure they realize that they've come a long way and highlighting what they're good at and what they hope to accomplish. For older kids, involve them in that IEP review. Say, hey, did you even know that part of your program is school's going to be giving these types of services or these accommodations? And then that way they feel empowered and feel really good.
So you can't wait until the night before.
Correct.
Okay, not the best idea. Are there any community resources or support programs that can help parents navigate this IEP process more easily?
Absolutely. You can start with going to the State of Maryland Department of Education website. They have wonderful resources. They have really nice pamphlets and booklets that you can download and read that explains this kind of complicated process about receiving special education. It'll list the different timelines and the differences between the 504 and IEP, and it will really help ground parents. So that's one resource. Another resource is Parents Place of Maryland. They provide individual services, so if parents need additional help kind of navigating this process, that can happen. And there's also Disability Rights Maryland. So some families do need educational advocates, and that could be an avenue as well.
Thank you for being here.
You're very
All the best
welcome.
for the school year and beyond.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
Try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at soundidouttogether.org.
Might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. You may not even know you have it, but you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand. With early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Well, although the beginning of the school year can be exciting, it can also be stressful for kids, and that stress possibly continues throughout the school year. The American Psychological Association reports 75% of high school students and 50% of middle school students have stress. Elementary school age children experience stress as well. The signs can be seen in their emotional and physical health as well as their behavior. To help us understand more, recognize those signs, and take actions to ensure children's mental health is intact, Roni Gamlanadam, Child and Family Program Manager, the Mental Health Association of Maryland, joins us to discuss more. Roni, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I hope I did not mess your name up too bad. Okay. I tried. How prevalent is school stress?
It's very common. There's various reasons why, but we see in social media and what our children are expressing to us that it's very common in children from elementary school all the way up until high school.
What do you think some of the factors that causes this stress?
Yeah, I think back to school generally can be very stress-inducing. I mean, if you think about transitions, whether it's from third grade to fourth or middle school to high school, the fear of the unknown can really induce stress and anxiety in our children. But there's also external factors. If there's something happening in the family unit, maybe there was a recent death or maybe there was a move, that can lead to children experiencing stress on top of the academic and peer pressure that they're feeling.
What about, you mentioned external, what about things like, you know, kids can be very cruel.
Yeah.
What about a child that may be worried about their appearance, whether it's physical, their clothes?
Yep, and I think especially with social media, the prevalence of it, that is a major factor. Comparing yourself to children your age or children, you know, older than you, wanting to look a certain way, you know, with teens and adolescents, as they're going through that transition, they want to, you know, present well and maybe fit in or be popular.
What are some of the signs parents should be looking out for?
Yeah.
To recognize that their kid's dealing with this?
If you notice any changes in your child's behavior, whether it's verbally or what you're observing, that might be a sign that they are experiencing stress or anxiety. And so that can look like isolating themselves more. It can look like them even verbalizing, you know, a lack of interest in school. If you know that your child is, you know, very excited about sports and academics, but suddenly there's a shift, that might be a cause for concern. You can also look at emotional changes. If you're noticing that your child is maybe more downcast or maybe experiencing anxiety, that's a sign that they might be experiencing stress.
Now, with that, could parents be a contributor to that stress? I know, Mom, don't take this the wrong way, but to this day, my mom's a contributor to my stress. So for a school-age kid, could that be a factor as well?
Yes, that's when we talk about pressure. A lot of the times, and it comes from good intentions, our parents want us to excel really well in school, but if you're putting too much pressure on your child, it might actually be adverse. So that looks like pressure to excel, you know, in school, or it looks like putting them in a lot of activities at once. That might negatively impact them.
Right. So what can parents and schools do to create a safer environment?
Yeah, this is such a good question because it starts before the school year even begins. You want to bridge communication between schools and parents. So for parents, that might look like showing up to, you know, school meetings. I know that schools will sometimes have pre-back to school nights, showing up to that. And for teachers, it's communicating the signs ahead of time. You know, I know it can be difficult managing classrooms, but if you notice a child in your class that is acting a little bit differently, bring it up to their parent. And then for administrators in schools, advocating, you know, being open, establishing an environment where parents and teachers feel comfortable talking about mental health.
Okay, well, let's talk about the big bad bully.
Yes.
What, I guess, is part of the mental health impact of bullying?
Yeah, bullying has severe negative impacts on children and youth. And that ranges from anxiety and stress, but it can also go into depression. It can go into self-harm, suicidal thoughts. We've seen countless studies and real experiences of children being bullied to the point of wanting to harm themselves. And so there's a lot of different things. Stress, you know, and we see how stress over time can really negatively impact not just adults, but children as well. And so there's a lot of detrimental effects of that.
What are some of the signs if your child is being bullied?
Yes, you want to look for unexplained injury. So that might be bruises that they might not have, you know, explanations for. You want to look if they are missing, you know, items in their backpack. Maybe they went to school with something that they value, but, you know, in school, a bully came and took it from them, right? You want to look again at changes in their mood, loss of interest. If they are coming up with a lot of excuses for not wanting to go to school, it might be a sign that they're avoiding something in school. And so it's really just looking at your child and asking them questions to see, how are you doing? What has changed?
So with that, what you said, they may not want to go to school.
Right.
I know in certain communities, certain demographics, we don't understand the signs of mental health.
Yeah.
So why is it important to do away with your demographic, your culture, to look at these signs?
Yeah, it's for the sake of your child and for your teenager, right? And we know it's stigma that contributes to why that's present, but it's so important to educate yourself, to, ask questions to providers in your community, to your school, and to really get to know your child, right? To be able to know what is normal and what is abnormal for them.
Right. How can parents support their kids?
Yes, advocate, advocate, advocate. If you notice that your child is experiencing something in school, you want to speak up for them. There's so much stigma and embarrassment around being bullied. And so being able to be present in your child's life, to be able to advocate for them. You also want to educate yourself about state laws, about rules in your district, to know how you can best support your child as they're walking through that. And then most importantly, just be present.
Right.
A lot of the time with children and teens, they want a listening ear. And so being non-judgmental, listening to them is what's really going to help them through what they're going through.
Awesome. All right, Roni, we'll leave it right there. To learn more about school stress and how to help your child manage it, visit childrensmentalhealthmatters.org.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy. It's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is being prepared for the journey ahead. Love doesn't let any concerns go unsaid. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax. It always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects.
Wait, use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, it's never too early to prepare your kid for success in school and in life. Parents are their children's first and most important teachers. At Judy Centers, parents from historically underserved communities can engage in learning experiences with their kids before they're even born, all the way up to age 5. To tell us more is Kami Plank, Judy Center Program Manager with the Maryland State Department of Education. Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us about Judy Centers.
It's Judy Centers.
Judy Centers.
Yes,
Sorry.
Judy Centers. That's all right. So Judy Center Early Learning Hubs are located throughout the state of Maryland, and we serve families that have children birth through age 5, and they are located within local elementary schools. So they are actually part of the schools where they are located, and we serve the families that live within the school zone where the Judy Center is located. We offer a multi-generational approach to working with families and children, and we offer family supports, we offer child development, development, and all of that pours into that big bucket of school readiness. So we offer lots of different programming for parents, such as family-child playgroups, parent trainings, family engagement opportunities, and then we also offer connections to resources and things like that within the community.
Why is a program like this so important, especially in underserved communities?
Absolutely. So Judy Centers connect families to those resources, as I said. And so we are supporting the entire family, and everything we do involves the family. We use that multi-generational approach, as I said. So we are working with sometimes the parents, but sometimes also grandparents, aunts, uncles, and every single piece of programming that we have involves those families. So it involves parent education. We embed parent education in everything that we do, and we provide a lot of modeling and supports for families to teach them what is developmentally appropriate and working with their child to get them ready for school.
So essentially you're using the it takes a village mentality.
Yes, absolutely. It does take a village.
Wow. Okay. So there's also the Patty Center family programs, right? How does that differ?
Okay, so Patty Family Support Centers are located across the state of Maryland as well. They're open to anyone. As I said, Judy Centers serve the families that live within that school zone, but Patty Centers are located within communities, and they are working on self-sufficiency and family goals. They're very similar, but a lot of times when you look at the Patty Center programming, the families are there together, but the parents are engaged in, say, GED or a parent training, while their child is in a child development class with a child development specialist, and they're playing and learning in there, and then the parents come in and work with them after they're done with their parent trainings and supports.
Gotcha. So where are these centers?
So Judy Centers are located throughout the state in every single county, and Patty Centers are also located throughout the state. The easiest way to find them is to go to the website marylandfamiliesengage.org, and when you go there, there's actually a map, and when you click on the map, you can click on your county, you can click on Baltimore City. All of your Judy Centers and your Patty Centers come up, and they're actually pinned on there. You click on the pin and it gives you the contact information to reach out, and they can talk to you about programming and eligibility.
Right. So of course, what's important a lot of times is things like health screening and health education.
Yes.
Is that something that these services provide?
Absolutely. Both Judy and Patty Centers, they do those connections to resources, so they will do developmental screenings in-house. A lot of our Patty Centers do vision, hearing screenings, or they do referrals. So they're doing those connections to those community agencies and those partners who do health screenings. And then when we do those developmental screenings, a lot of times we might see there might be an area that a child might need some improvement in or some support, and then we're able to refer families out to local infants and toddlers programs. So that's another connection that we have.
Now, when you say developmental, are you looking for things like maybe autism or something like that, or learning?
No, when we look at, there's something called developmental milestones. So all children, it really is not a standard to say all children should be doing X, Y, Z at this certain time. It's developmentally. By age 1, they should be able to do, and maybe they're not quite meeting those milestones, and then you might need to refer them for extra supports to get them up to where they need to be for those.
Right. So is there collaboration with the school systems?
Absolutely. So Judy Centers are located in the schools. They're actually part of the local school systems. They hold the grants for Judy Center Early Learning Hubs. And so they are part of the school at large. They are part of the school staff. They actually serve as a transition for families that are not yet formally engaged in school. So they're coming to the school, they're engaging in programming, they're getting to know the staff.
Right.
When we talk about Patty Centers, they're within the community, but they're also working with the school systems. They're service coordinating, which means they're talking about families and children that they're serving that are coming into the school, and they're also partnering for things like events and things like that.
What advice do you have for parents that may not be sure how to advocate for their kids' educational needs?
I would say that, especially if you're involved in one of these programs, first of all, contact a Judy or Patty Center because they're going to be able to support you. And then once you are in touch with them, get to know the staff because they can connect you to those resources and let you know what is available out there. And I think that's the best way to do it, is to find those community resources that are available, such as Judy and Patty Centers, and then they can connect you to those resources. And also just get to know, if you have a chance to engage at the school maybe beforehand, go to events, get to know the school staff, make those relationships with those people because your children are going to be attending school there.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a success story you could share?
I absolutely do. So one of our favorite success stories recently is a dad who is involved at a Judy Center in Baltimore City at Halliburton Elementary. And he recognized, he started attending programming with his young child, and he realized that he was the only dad that was present. And recognizing that need, he spoke to our Judy Center staff and he said, why aren't there more dads here? I would like to see more dads involved. And so with the assistance of the Judy Center staff in the school, he started a dads group within the school so that dads could have a voice, that they could pick parent topics and things that they wanted to discuss. And now they have this dads group up and running that is for the entire school. And then additionally, not only has he done that, but through the Judy Center support, he's done parenting classes, financial literacy classes. He now works at the school and he is a paraeducator within the school system.
Go Dad.
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
That is an amazing story, because you typically don't see dads, that actively involved.
Yes.
How can folks learn more about early childhood education in their communities?
Within their communities, they can contact their local school systems and connect with their pre-K programs and what is available to them. And then once again, if you want to connect within early childhood to learn a little bit more about child development and family support programs, you can go to that MarylandFamiliesEngaged.org website to find your Judy or Patty Center. And you can also go to the MSDE website and find out a little bit more about our pre-K programs and what we have to offer within the Division of Early Childhood for early childhood supports.
All right, last question for the folks that don't have the internet or don't know how to use it.
Sure.
How else can they find out?
How else can they find out? You can, to find a Judy or a Patty Center? Okay, absolutely. So you could just contact your local school and give them a call and ask them if they have a Judy Center present within their community. And even if they don't have one within their community, they can connect you to one.
Right.
And then if there is one present and you're not eligible at that one, they can let you know what's available within the community for you to be able to support.
All right, Kami.
All
Thanks
right.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Well, the Maryland State Department of Education Division of Early Childhood Education can help guide the way to make sure your toddlers and preschoolers are ready for school success. Judy and Patty Centers are a valuable resource for parents. To learn more, visit earlychildhood.marylandpublicschools.org. And to all parents, students, and teachers, let's make this school year an exciting time to learn, grow, and meet with school success. Remember, education is everyone's business, and school success benefits every member of our community. Make education your business.